Greetings all, DC Wood here, back again, continuing with my reviews of all the Arrowverse seasons. We are now on The Flash, Season 1. First things first, my apologies for this entry being later than usual. It was my birthday this past weekend, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to celebrate, and now we're back up and running for a brand new episode of the series, the second Arrowverse show, a brand new show and spun off right from Arrow. The Flash premiered on the CW on the 7th of October 2014, lasting 23 episodes, and the finale aired on the 19th of May 2015. The show's ratings surpassed even Arrow's, averaging well over 4 million viewers a week, and it remains the most watched series ever on the CW. And this took another previously overlooked DC superhero, one of DC Universe's greatest, and thrust him into a new generation of households. Enter Barry Allen, who we first met back in Arrow Season 2's The Scientist. Barry is a brilliant forensic expert working for the Central City Police Department. Kind, earnest, yet socially awkward, Barry's life is changed forever one night when the testing of Star Labs' particle accelerator goes badly wrong. Struck by lightning and doused with chemicals in his lab, Barry awakens from his subsequent coma with incredible new powers. He's become literally the fastest man alive. But the whole world has now been changed forever from the particle accelerator fallout. So many of Central City's citizens have been bestowed with amazing new abilities. They've become metahumans, and Barry is the only one fast enough to stop them. With his friends and family, Barry must fight crime and uncover the mystery that has plagued him since childhood. Who murdered Barry's mother and framed his father for the crime? Barry Allen is The Flash. When ranking the seasons originally, I'd placed The Flash Season 1 second overall, and with plenty of good reason. Right away, as soon as the pilot begins, you know you're in for something amazing and wisely different from that of Arrow. The overall tone is much lighter, there's much more humour, and the nature of The Flash allows the Arrowverse to truly dive into an amazing new realm. Dealing with the Flash, metahumans and superpowers, it's an absolutely amazing concept, and what helps is the fact that this show is visually spectacular. The special effects in The Flash, I'd never seen anything like this before on television. The way the Flash's speed is animated, the way all these superpowers are brought to life on screen, multitudes of fantastic abilities. It's cinematic quality, and you would have thought this level of CGI was beyond television at one point, and yet you've got it right here. It's spectacular, it's consistent, it's incredible. And I also have to discuss the design of the Flash suit here. Colleen Atwood designed the costume for Season 1, and right away it's virtually perfect. It would have been so easy to muck this up, but Atwood designed something here that looks superb. It captures the essence of the Flash from the comics. It looks functional and works well in the modern era, and Grant Gustin pulls it off perfectly. Obviously the suit would be tweaked and revised numerous times every season, but it looked perfect in Season 1, and it still looks perfect today with all the revisions and everything, and it's just absolutely amazing. The whole presentation subsequently enhances the story, and that itself is amazing, along with the direction and the cast. Right from the word go, Season 1 benefits from perfect casting all round. Like Arrow, The Flash immediately realises its potential from the starting line, thanks to Grant Gustin being the perfect lead for Barry Allen. The character is so down-to-earth and relatable and different from Stephen Amell's Oliver Queen. This is a guy who's just so likeable, as human as they come, that you can't help but love the guy. And Grant evokes all the correct emotions and convictions no matter what the scene. He's on point every single time and makes Barry's journey and that of the Flash's every bit as essential as the Green Arrow's. Then, of course, there's the supporting cast following Arrow's example. Here we have a cast of equally deep, well-developed players who all make Barry's world one to invest in. Cisco Ramon, played by Carlos Valdez, Caitlin Snow, Daniel Panabaker, Detective Joe West, Barry's adoptive father, played by Jesse L. Martin. You've got Iris West, Joe's daughter, played by Candice Patton. You've got Detective Eddie Thorne, played by Rick Cosnett. And, of course, you've got Dr. Harrison Wells, played by Tom Cavanagh. As someone who knew very little of the Flash's history in the comics prior to watching the show, I did grow up reading a few stories featuring the Wally West incarnation of the Flash, and of course I loved the Justice League and the Justice League Unlimited cartoons. Season 1 is a perfect introduction to Flash's world, how brilliant Barry is as a forensics scientist, his police work, his life in Central City, him slowly learning how to master his powers and demonstrating to viewers exactly what the Flash can do, what his family life is like, the tragedy that's plagued him, his optimism in the face of it all. It really is such a fantastic education for fans of The Flash, and really it's the perfect place to start, and once you've got it, you won't be able to get enough of it. Then, of course, there's the Rogues Gallery. All these villains, I'd heard of them before in various DC comics, and I honestly thought that they were all so lame previously, and yet Season 1 takes every single one of these villains and makes you think, hang on, these are actually some of the greatest villains ever conceived. Case in point, Leonard Snart, aka Captain Cold. I thought, aside from having a silly name, he was just a poor man's Mr. Freeze. An ordinary criminal with a cold gun that had none of the richness that made Mr. Freeze so appealing. But here, Wentworth Miller is a real scene stealer. And the character of Leonard Snart is a cold, ruthless, savage, strategically brilliant, yet ultimately human underneath it all. This Captain Cold becomes one of the Flash's greatest adversaries throughout the course of Season 1, and an absolute fan favourite in the whole Arrowverse as well. Snart and Wentworth Miller, of course, go on to become one of the Arrowverse's most prominent players, in, of course, Legends of Tomorrow, and same can be said for Dominic Purcell's Mick Rory, aka Heatwave. All the average villains of the week are colourful and resplendent. Gorilla Grodd, a fully sentient, overgrown gorilla with psychic powers, something that I thought was a daft idea previously. This idea is not only taken for Season 1, it's taken and it's given such depth and a tragic backstory. The idea is presented as an absolutely terrifying adversary and executed flawlessly, particularly in that scene in the episode Grodd Lives, where Gorilla Grodd is face to face with Joe. That is an absolutely terrifying and frightening scene, and the reality of how great the idea of Gorilla Grodd hits home. The character proves just how amazing as well the show's creative team is with CGI. The work on Grodd's animation is truly, truly awesome. And then finally there's the Reverse Flash. Piece by piece, the story of Eobard Thawne is unravelled, and that Tom Cavanagh's friendly Harrison Wells is actually the sadistic, manipulative genius of Matt Lester in disguise. The motivations, the revelations, the backstory, the animosity, the contradictions, the ultimate goals of the Reverse Flash. It's all so ridiculously convoluted, but this is one of those rare times where the execution behind it all, behind such a complex villain, actually works, and it succeeds in making Thawne not just an excellent character and villain, but the single greatest villain in the entire Arrowverse. And both Tom and Matt's portrayals are essential to the character's success. The pacing of Season 1 is also impeccable, 23 episodes, and like Arrow's first 2 seasons, not a moment is wasted. There are so many individual episodes, subplots, character arcs, and a main story arc which are juggled perfectly. The show has bags of stamina, and along the way it makes time for a great crossover with Arrow, before sprinting the rest of the way towards an absolutely epic finale in Fast Enough. To this day, Fast Enough remains the show's greatest episode, and it comes complete with an amazing cliffhanger that leaves you drooling for season 2. The only cons I can really name are the love triangle between Barry, Iris, and Eddie. I hate love triangles in superhero shows, movies at the best of times, and this does drag, really. I can understand that it's essential for drama purposes in these kind of things, but I still detest it nonetheless. Don't get me wrong, Eddie's a great character. Rick Costner did a great job in all his time on the show, but I still hate love triangles. Oh yes, and as amazing as all these villains were, I hate, loathe and despise Brie Larson, the bug-eyed bandit. She is by far, in a way, the single worst villain in the whole Arrowverse. She's so bloody irritating, way more effective than she has any right to be, and I hate her. I never want to see the bug-eyed bandit ever again. Never, ever, never, ever, 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 ever. Quibbles aside, The Flash Season 1 is beyond awesome. It's an absolute triumph for television, and The Flash arguably became the greatest superhero show of all time straight away. I'm serious. In The Flash's first 2 seasons, when The Flash was at its absolute best, nothing was as good as this. Not Arrow, not Supergirl, not Legends, not Constantine, not Marvel's Daredevil or Jessica Jones Season 1, not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or Batman the Animated Series or X-Men the Animated Series. I'm serious. Nothing. Season 1 is just absolute perfection overall. CGI, story, acting, direction, presentation, pacing, Blake Neely's awesome music composition. 4 marks all the way. Overall rating, 10 out of 10. So, how would you rate The Flash Season 1? Please discuss in the comments below, and please click like and subscribe. Next time, it's going to be the review of Arrow Season 3. See you there.